To get the most out of your Trimble 3D machine control system, or even your off-machine systems such as your base and rover or your robotic total station, you need to have good data. That good data comes from a clean model and a constructible model. Most engineers are not required or have the incentive to develop or prep the data to be directly inputted into a machine. And this is where Trimble Business Center really comes into the workflow of prepping data for the field. So let's take a look. On the left-hand side, you'll see here is some line work that's been imported in from a CAD file. And this data came from an engineer or designer. And you'll see that in most cases, or a lot of cases, the lines may or may not be joined. You can see here the building is not completed around the object. The objects also are lacking names. It's an attribute that's associated through Business Center that you can name the object so that when your operators out in the field select that line, they know what they're staking out. So for example, if I was to come over here and pick this cul-de-sac, you'll see here that it says edge of pavement. If I pick on this line here, you'll see that it says building. And if I even go down to one of these storm structures, you'll see here that it's actually got a name. It's CB25. So I can refer back to the plans for the invert information or the rim information. If we take a quick look at the surface that has been created from this data or imported from the engineer, you can see that the level of detail is not that defined. It's got some basic road information, it's got some pads in certain areas, but if you take a look at a properly defined model, you can see that there's a lot more detail. You can see my building pads have been elevated to account for the walkout basements. The ditches and the berms have a lot more detail to them. And if we were to take a look at both of these through the 3D drive view in Business Center, you'll see that we'll be able to verify this. So if we take a look over here, you can see our dozer is sitting up on top of this berm. And we're going to be able to start driving around our site and taking a look at the surface. I can control my speed and my view. So you can see here that as I get into this area over here where my berm is, that I don't have that great of detail. So let's take a look at the properly defined surface. We'll take a look at that in the 3D view. Same thing, our dozer starts. Over here you can immediately see where our building is. You can see we got better definition of our berm here. And as I drive forward, you can start to see in the distance the other buildings. And as I come down into this swale, I've got good definition on my swale, and therefore I can check and see this before it even goes out to the field. To learn more about Trimble Business Center, contact your local SciTech dealer.